The topic I have been given, I have written a book on it, and I entitled the book Integrity, the Litmus Test of Good Leadership. I have three reasons why I regard this as a very, very important topic. Number one, of all the problems Kenya has, I don't think there is anyone bigger than corruption. Corruption is leading to many deaths in hospitals. Corruption is leading to, sometimes in your area now, to look at your area, to have baked graduates. Corruption leads to poverty, actually, if no business can work because of theft. And that is wide. You may be talking about many people who have hustles. You are working in Nairobi, you start a small farm somewhere in Meru, you employ your cousin, and you take a loan, you may end up paying that loan from your salary. Why? Even your cousin cannot actually be trusted. What makes it a bigger problem, is the fact that people are not apologetic about it. You will find a person who got employed last year, and within a year or two, he got to his home county, builds a multi-billion house, and the bishop of his area will come to open the building. Obviously, especially in public offices, we can tell the salary he's earning. And you know he cannot in 1 or 2 years have gotten that money. So it's obvious the money is stolen, but the bishop will open it and thank God. He would not say thank God for the theft. He would say thank God we have a son who is working hard. What is that communicating to other children right from primary school? That is, problem is to be poor, not to steal. That was a theory until the other day when Aga Khan University now did a study among young people. And if you saw what was reported, I think, in the Nation newspaper, the young people that was surveyed by the university, Aga Khan University, actually stated they want to get rich. And if that includes being corrupt, they don't mind. And those are the people who represent our future. So this is a crisis. It's the kind of thing that I think every university should have a course, and a compulsory course to everybody. My wife happens to be a university lecturer, and she tells me university is rather late. This should be a compulsory subject, right from nursery school to primary school, right through. If this country will ever arise from where it is to where it has always wanted to be. So as I discuss this subject, then, it is not something that that any one of us listening to me is actually not touched by it. You are either touched because you yourself has participated in corruption, or you are a driver, you have been stopped by the police on the road, and they clearly want you to produce something. And if you have never bribed, most likely you have also been locked up. You know, the other day I was in my consultancy talk, giving a talk to some managers, and I raised this issue, although it was not my main topic. I raised this issue with the manager. Most of them in their 40s or thereabout. I'm in my 70s, so there's quite a big gap. And they told me, what you are talking is it's not possible. Maybe it was possible in your years before you retired. It's not possible. I said, are you telling me, I asked the managers, are you telling me it is not possible to be ethical in Kenya? Said, no, it's not possible. And they are in agreement. So I told them, maybe one of the areas that is very corrupt is traffic police. May I tell you that I have driven longer than your life? I've driven longer than you have been born. But I have never bribed even once, leave alone twice. And if you think this is just a Kenyan problem, I was doing a consultancy in Lusaka, Zambia, again talking to managers. And they told me, we can be ethical, but our police can't allow us. I said, what's the issue? They'll hide somewhere in a forest and then come out and arrest you. And you have to bribe them. So I asked those managers in Lusaka, Zambia, but is it true you'll be overspeeding? Yes, I'm overspeeding, but why were they hiding? Now, you can see clearly, the person can't see that the reason he bribed, he was not forced by the police to bribe. It is him who broke the law. So, I will spend quite a bit of time, instead of just giving the theories, asking ourselves questions, so that each one of us, rather than talking about the corrupt politicians, let's talk to you as a student. Let's talk to you as a lecturer. Are you an example of ethics or not? And that will be an important issue. I hope everybody is mute. The operations of the organization should be guided by ethical practices. Whether you are a university or you are a church, if you really want progress, you must be guided by ethical practices. These practices seek to promote good corporate citizenship. So that because of being in that organization, you learn responsibility. So you learn how to do your job as you are required, and not to do it in such a way that you affect the other person negatively. And I think that will be important. So when we talk about integrity and talk about ethics, when ethics is the root, integrity is defined as adherence to moral and ethical principles. If you're a man of integrity, you will certainly be ethical. Please note that your integrity is seen in what you do. You can shout on the rooftop, you're a man of integrity. But you see, integrity is inside you. We cannot tell until we watch what you do. You know, what you do, like I'm arguing, if it is inside you, even if nobody else can see, you are going to be a man of integrity. So integrity is seen in what you do when no one will find out. If you knew that what you are doing would appear in the Sunday Nation first page, you'll be very careful. You are not a man of integrity if the reason you are integrity is because you're afraid of publicity. I worked for Shell for around 30 years before I retired, and one of the things that people used to say is that we have to do a lot of work to help our traffic department, because the drivers are immoral. They'll be finished by HIV. And I told them, let's be honest. There are many other people who are immoral, but the difference is we are talking about people that take fuel from Mombasa to Rwanda to Congo, Eastern Congo, and it means you may be doing only 2 trips in a month. So you are hardly ever with your wife, and you're in the corner of everywhere. So it makes it very difficult for that driver who is away from his wife, away from anybody who knows him, and they have to keep stopping along the road, not to become immoral. And anyway, even if he became immoral, his wife will never find out. Let me ask you a question. Might you also be immoral minus opportunity? You know, where you are, your husband can quickly find out. Your wife can quickly find out. The reason you are looking so moral is because you fear being found out. Then you are not a man of integrity. If your integrity is because of fearing exposure, It sounds good. It's still good for the organization. But for you as an individual, you are not a person of integrity. Ethics is a foundation of good governance. In other words, I know in the university you teach management, you teach good governance. It's the underlying thing is ethics. It doesn't matter how you understand how things are done. If you are not ethical, you look for how to break corners. Ethical leadership is the willingness to accept responsibility. You can't be said to be ethical if you are not accountable, if you don't accept responsibility. And it involves acting and leading ethically. In fact, when you talk about ethical leadership, we require a clear and coherent ethical framework for decision making. Every decision you make will be fair, it will be ethical. That's when we say you are having good governance. I want to give an example of a friend of mine who has died since then, but when we were younger, I still remember the story he gave me. He was moved to a new school as a headmaster, and he built, within a short time, he built 2 classes. And the parents said, wait a minute, where are you getting money from? He did not understand the question. Because the same money they used to produce with the previous headmaster would do 1 class. Now he did 2 classes. But it did not take him long to know what happened, because when he went to look for materials, at least that's what he told me, he would go to a hardware shop owned by an Indian, and he says, what are we going to write? What price are we going to write? He said, I thought you were the one selling. How can I know that? He said, no. I know my price is this, but I'll put what you want so that the difference will directly put in the difference. I will send you the money. And he was in shock. These are parents that are struggling. They are not, many of them have even finished school, paying school fees. Then uses the parents' money, because the Indian will not be the one giving the money. And instead of making 2 classes, he makes 1 class. You need to understand, when you talk about lack of ethics, when you are ethical, your impact will be immediate. That's why I say one clear thing, ethical people of integrity are so few. If you get one, you better not lose him. But let's be clear. We are always talking against our politicians, thinking they are terrible. But I like what Bucket said, and that quote is well known by people. All it means for evil to thrive is a good to do nothing. So that if you regard yourself as an ethical person, what are you doing about it? Are you yourself in your small area behaving in an ethical manner? I want now to test you in the corporate world and tell me, maybe you don't have enough time. If you had enough time, if it was a semester we were doing, this is something we would spend a lot of time on. But I'm calling them corporate ethical dilemmas. The first one, what to do if you feel promotions are done through favoritism and you are not getting any? Because that's corruption. That's lack of ethics. When you can tell the reason so-and-so was promoted was not performance. It was simply the tribe he comes from. It was simply because he is a girlfriend of the professor, of the boss. How do you handle that? Either as a manager, or as a student, or as a teacher. Another one. What about if you receive requests for sexual favors from your supervisor, and you really want promotion? Sometimes it's not even promotion. If you are going to keep your job, you realize you may have to comply. How do you face stigmatization for rejecting sexual favors? Because the moment you refuse the sexual favor of the boss, he starts telling everybody how useless you are not a performer, and you know the real problem is actually the fact that and I remember again doing a consultancy with some people, and I told those who wanted to ask questions privately they can come. So one person saw me on the side and said, I don't want to tell you who it is. One of my bosses is here. He's in the meeting. He told me, if I don't befriend him, I am not going to get a promotion and most likely I'll be fired. I told him he has a wife. I am a girl. What would he be doing? He says, I just want you to be my friend, my side chick. She thought it was a joke. The following day, she was being told in the office that she cannot really keep her job. And now everybody is being told because her performance is taking the whole department down. And she was asking me, what do I actually do now? Those are issues we are facing daily. They are part of ethics. A different one. How do you face pressure from peers where they want to seal dirty deals in your organization that you do not agree with? And maybe for that deal to go through, your input is critical for the deal to go through. Let me give you an example. Your workmates bring receipts you know too well are fake, but argue that the company had already approved $500,000 shillings budget for that project. And so since they have only used 300,000, what do you want to happen with the other 200,000? So they have fake receipts, so the whole 500,000 can go into the project. And they argue, it's not your money. Ni pesa ya mamako. It's not your money. Remember, I'm calling it a dilemma. The reason I'm calling it a dilemma is that if you do one thing, you have trouble. Especially if there are too many people in your department, they can sabotage your future. In fact, they will do anything that will get you out. I still remember I was in charge of logistics for Shell, and I still remember a young man, those days, talking about more than 20, 30 years ago, most drivers were not Form 4s. Then a clerk was in Form 4 and had a heavy commercial license, driving license, told me he would like to move to drive LPG tankers. They are well paid. The drivers are well paid. But in addition to that, of course, because they are driving far away, they get a lot of allowances. And he was a young man with integrity, a Christian boy. And I told him, of course, he was not reporting to me. I was a reporter. He was going to report to somebody who was reporting to somebody who was reporting to me. But I talked with them, with the person in charge of the area, and said, these are the kind of people you want. But don't allow him, don't trust his license. Put him under another driver who can then verify that he can handle the dangerous gas tankers. Do you know? And he was supposed to do that for 6 months. All the drivers ganged up to determine that he is too thick to know how to drive. These are standard 8, the old standard 8, not the 844. These are old people, the old standard 8, before 737 became the head of primary school. And they are telling a Form 4 he is too thick. Obviously, since I was not the one supervising him, he was going to lose it. But it happened that I visited the depot, and when I'm visiting the depot as the manager, I would ask the manager in charge to just, why don't we look around? Then we found a tanker, and I wanted to ask you for a few questions, the driver. Who do I find? But this guy, and I already received the report, he cannot qualify to be a driver. And so I said, why is your driver? I didn't want to ask him questions. Only the real driver. Oh, he said he is not here. We were coming from Nanyuki, and then he dropped off in Vika and told me to bring the vehicle to Nairobi. So, of course, I solved the matter there. When I went back to the manager's office, I told him, can you see your report that he's not able to drive is theoretical. The real driver knows that he is such a good driver that even if he chucks out of office and allows him to drive from Thika through the traffic into the industrial area to the depot, nothing will go wrong, and nobody will ever discover that he was out. He did not bring the vehicle to Nairobi. So from now onwards, allow him to drive Thika, Remuru, that region. We now know he can do it. Later investigated. What was the problem? Is that when they go to Nanyuki or go to Naivasha or go to Nakuru, the claims of the old driver would be almost double the ones of the new driver. They slept in the same hotels, they ate the same places, and all of a sudden they realize, if you allow this guy into the fleet, we'll all be fired. So the idea was, sabotage him, he loses his job, they continue the gravity train. That's why I'm calling it a dilemma. Because if you don't want to lose your job, but for the fact that I went when I went, that was a miracle itself. Because even his immediate driver, supervisor, and the one who's supervising that one, they did not know what they were doing on the ground. So when we are talking about corruption, many people are suffering. In fact, many good people never make it because the crooks gang up and the report is written, they can never do well. If you're a lecturer with ethics, you'll never be able to penetrate because they'll gang up and show you as a bad performer. And if the boss is not wise, all good people will never rise. Only the rotten ones will rise. That's what we are talking about when you're talking about corruption and the dilemma you have. Because many people give in. Says, if I don't, I'll lose my job. So they give in and join the gravity train. Another one. How do you face attempts by customers to compromise you for some favors of the approved system or policy? And you know, if you don't help the customers, you might not be, as a salesman, you might never be able to meet your volume targets. What do? You fail to meet your volume targets, you lose your job. You agree with the customers, you are unethical. Another one. What do you do to attempts by service providers to compromise you, to get favoritism on tenders? A lot of suppliers are ready to bribe you, and you are the one in charge of the tenders. How do you deal with it? Another one. How do you deal with a boss who wants to compromise the company values and you can't directly report them to their boss? He is the boss, and he tells you to do something that's not according to the values of the company. What do? If you refuse, you may lose your job. This is also similar. How do you deal with a boss who wants to compromise the company values and you are the only person who can post the transaction into the computer system? What do? Now, those are the issues that test. Remember, our topic is about assessing your potential to be unethical or assessing your potential to be ethical. It is the answer to these questions that can help us to know whether you are ethical or you are not actually ethical. But let me change, and now instead of talking about those corporate ones, let's look at personal, an assessment of your personal ethical standards. 8 questions, and if you get more than 6, you're ethical. Number 1, if you usually put more sugar in your tea when in a hotel than you do at home, you are actually likely to be corrupt. Because why are you putting more sugar? It's because there's free sugar. Now, the same way when you are made a parastatal head, you are likely to use money differently. If you are given a company vehicle, you are likely to misuse it because you are not the one repairing. You are just corrupt. Give yourself a yes or a no. Question number 2. Do you use more tissue in a public washroom than you do at home? If so, you're a potential thief given opportunity. I told you many of us are corrupt minus opportunity. Because why would you need, sure, it's the same, you are doing the same thing at home or in the office. Why would you use more? Unless there is something inside you that makes you think it's okay to do the wrong thing, as long as it is not you paying. Question number 3. If you serve yourself more food than you can finish, just because someone else is footing the bill, you are greedy and corrupt. Question number 4. If you usually jump queues, you have potential for abusing office if given a powerful position. You know, the truth is, the fact that, I know the guy serving at the front, and you want to overtake all these other people because they don't know him. It just means that favoritism is your game, and favoritism is corruption. What about question number 5? If you are more concerned about knowing someone's surname rather than first name, you are likely to be a tribal bigot. Even worse, it's even worse when someone tells you their name and then you ask, which tribe is that? Oh, my name is Agnes Kokeko. Oh, where from? Because you see, the second one doesn't seem to tell you where. It means you do not look at people as individuals, as God's creation. You look at them with the lens of tribe and stereotypes. Another one. Question number 6. If you usually overlap while in traffic jam or have no regard for traffic lights, then you would easily embezzle public funds if you are given a position at a public office, since you hate regulation. You know, there are people who pass the lights, they don't know green or yellow, whatever. They simply hate regulation. Now, give that person a big position, you'll be cutting corners. Question 7. If you channel waste or dirty water from your own compound to a neighbor's compound rather than manage it, that's called environmental care. You are ill-mannered and corrupt because you think of yourself more than you think of others. My final question in this assessment. If you look at these posts, the list I've given you, and you're already wondering whether it was really necessary for a speaker today to talk about these issues, then you are very dishonest and easily cover up ills in society for your own benefit. That's a small one. Oh, now that doesn't matter. Why? No, I'm not that corrupt. If you are corrupt in a small way, you have the potential to be corrupt in a big way. Anyway, where do you stand? Don't give me the answer. Where do you stand? You know, I don't have enough time. I have a timer and already taken almost half an hour on this. But I would have wanted us to do a study just to see the biblical standard of ethics in Psalms 15. You know, if you look at verse 4, I would have wanted us, if you take my book, The Integrity, the Litmus Test of Good Leadership, and you can find it in Amazon. If you just Google the book title and John Nganga, you can actually get the book. I've also sent my friend, the one who invited me to this meeting, a list of bookshops that have my books. So if you're interested in details. But here I just want to refer to verse 4. It says, a man of integrity is he in whose eyes a vile person is condemned, and who honors and he honors them that fear the Lord. Then he goes on to say, it is he that swears to his own heart and does not change. Are you getting the standard of ethics the Bible is giving? If you're a man of integrity and you promise me that we are going to have tea at Serena at 10 o'clock tomorrow, then your grandmother appears at home in the morning and you feel she might curse you if you don't become available, so you don't appear. I appear there, you don't show up. You have broken the thing. They're saying a person of integrity is one who makes a promise, then realizes to keep that promise will hurt him. He still keeps that promise to his own heart. You know, have you met many of your friends who have, once he has a good excuse, he doesn't honor his promise? This one is saying there should be no excuse to keeping your word. That is the standard of integrity. Let me ask a question. Why would an organization want to encourage everybody to be ethical? Number one, are you aware that if you are an organization that keeps ethic, you have a competitive advantage? If people know you are a university where marks are cooked, no parent will want his child to go there. Number one, because they fear you end up with big graduates. Number two, they now realize that unless they are able to bribe, their children will never finish university. I can tell you the same way, if you go to any organization, any of your suppliers, if they are not clean, you are looking for a way of living them. Ethic is a major selling thing. If you can find out who is ethical, you are likely to end up there. I heard I'm the founding chairman of an organization we call EONET, Ethical Leadership Network. And we actually do assessment of organizations to ethics. And I can tell you, whoever declared ethical in an organization, customers will flow in. Because there are so few ethical organizations that if you discover any ethical, you are likely to end up there. That's why you need to be both ethical and be seen to be ethical if you want your business to expand. You know, if you are ethical, it leads to mutually beneficial collaborations. If another organization knows you are ethical and they're also ethical, they want to collaborate with you. If other organizations believe you are not ethical, they want to keep off. So you don't get good collaborations and you are being punished because people don't trust you. Thirdly, ethical behavior leads to improved performance and revenues. You know, if the whole organization is ethical, people will carry their 8 hours of work. They will be serious with it. So their performance will rise. The whole organization will have better performance. Once they have better performance, your revenue will increase. More customers will want to be there, and your revenues will increase. So ethics pays the bottom line. Next, ethical behavior attracts investors and enhances investor confidence. If you want to sell your shares, or you want people to get to participate in your business, they do not want to touch you at all if they think you are not ethical. But when you are ethical, everyone, can I join you? Can I buy a few shares? Because they know they can trust you. You have a performance record. Of course, when you talk about performance record, it means you are willing to pay the price. What I did not tell you, which I told the managers that I told have not bribed police and have driven for more than 45 years. What I didn't tell you is that I've actually been locked up. Because you see, you cannot, to be ethical, there is a price to it. The police will call you. And when you don't comply, you'll be locked up. So the only thing is, more than 45 years of driving, I've only been paid fines just a few times, maybe 1 or 2 times, and be locked up on the once. So you need to understand it has a cost. So everybody gets to know about it. I was in Karachi working for Shell. I was in Karachi because I was going to see Shell Pakistan. And then at the airport, I ended up with they wanted bribes, rupees. They wanted me to pay, and of course I couldn't. And I ended up being locked up. And I was telling them, if you don't want me to enter your country, just help me to take the next flight back to Kenya. But they were not interested in that. They thought I must have money I can actually give them. Finally, the people in Shell, Pakistan, were also trying their best to see how I can be removed from the place. But when I finished, and I was traveling all over Pakistan, trying to survey and assess their logistics, everybody had, oh, this is a guy who was locked up. Sometimes when say surely, it's a small matter. Why couldn't you handle it? They think there must be, I'm a whole manager, and a matter that can be sorted out that easily. I don't. They kind of are laughing on trying to find out. It gave me a wonderful opportunity as I moved from town to town in Pakistan to tell them there is a cost to ethics. Higher, you can allow yourself to be locked up. I fortunately by that time the phones had come, so I was able to ring my wife and say, I'm not in Sheraton, because I was going to sleep in Sheraton in Karachi. I'm not in Sheraton. I'm in a government facility. Now, you need to understand that when you say it attracts people, it's because people have heard. People have known you have paid your price. And it attracts people to support you. Another one, when people discover you are truly ethical, it will reduce corruption and scandals around you. Nobody wants to involve you. When they want to do something future, they will discuss where you are not. And in the process, they know that you can never comply. Therefore, since many corruption cases have to be collaboration, many deals will not work. Wherever you work, wherever you do business, many corrupt deals will not happen. And in the process, ethics improves legal and regulatory compliance. Because if you really are a person interested in ethics, you'll not do anything that the government will be unhappy with. You'll not do things that the regulatory organizations are not happy with. So within 2-3 audits and assessment by the people from government, they'll know there's no need of wasting time with this particular organization. They never do, and if they do wrong, it will be an error, not deliberate. In the process, if you live an ethical life as a person, you are going to end up with a legacy. So I wanted to show you it pays to be a person of ethics. But there's something we call cost-benefit analysis. Let me ask you the question. Do you know someone who because of refusing to compromise their integrity, ended up being a poor man?